Hello and welcome to the Liverpool Way podcast. The Reds missed the chance to return to the top of the Premier League after a deeply disappointing 0-0 draw against Manchester United at Anfield. We huffed and puffed, but ultimately didn't do enough to break down a United side solely intent on averting a repeat of last year's humiliation. I'm Chris Smith, and I'm joined by TLW editor Dave Usher and Julian Richards. All three of us were at Anfield today. Dave, not what we wanted or expected, but to be honest, I don't really think we deserve much more. Your thoughts?
No, we definitely didn't deserve much more. I was staggered when it came out afterwards, and I rung my dad, and he was like, we had 34 shots or something like that. I was like, what? Really? Because it did not feel like that. But then how many of those shots were just speculative shit from outside the box that like didn't threaten or got blocked? In terms of clear-cut chances, didn't really do much, did we? They probably had the best chance of the game when Alisson made the save. They had another chance at the end when like we defended it well actually, but like they fizzed the ball across the box and they had men in there, and I just had a horrible sinking feeling that they were going to win it at the end. I think I watched Klopp's press conference before, and he was like really talking about positives and saying we did this well and we did that well, and maybe we did, maybe the counter pressing was great. I don't know, it's not something that I was particularly paying attention to, but I didn't really take too many positives from it. I mean, he said something as well about like us dominating. He can't remember us dominating Man United like that, and even the 7-0 last year, they were more in the game than they were today. I'm like, yeah, but they're shit and they were trying to not get battered, so of course we're going to dominate. Like that was never in any question that we were going to dominate the game. Of course we were. And in defence of United as well, it's like, look how many of like their first choice players they've got missing as well. So the shit when they've got everyone available. But when you take away like half of the first team and some of the players who they're putting in, obviously we were going to dominate that game. There was all they wanted to do was just come here and don't get embarrassed, and they've done that. I thought they defended pretty well, but we made it so easy for them. Yeah. The way the game started as well, I thought we were going to blow them away. Like the first 5 minutes was great. The crowd was well into it. We were like, all they could do was just put the ball out of play. We were all over them. We were in the faces. And then we didn't score in that period, and then it just fizzles out. And the second half went exactly the same way. Started the second half really well, didn't get the goal, and then just fizzled out. And I've seen like a lot of people talking about the atmosphere, and Gary Neville saying it's the worst atmosphere he's seen for Liverpool United. I'm not having that at all. I don't agree at all. I think like the crowd was fine, but like there just comes a point where it's like, you've got to give us something back here. You've got to give us something to get people into it. The crowd were like really, they were doing a bit, and then it just fizzles out, and like we're not creating much, and it's just all like just sterile. And it's that performance today, I think, is on a par with the Sheffield United game and the Crystal Palace game when we were dog shit in both of them games. I think we said on the pod it was bad. That was on a par simply because you could make allowances for those games. It's like Crystal Palace is like a 12:30 coming off the back of another away game a few days earlier. The Sheffield United one is one where you go, well, yeah, we've not played well, but we've got the points. You just take the points, forget about it. You're going to have these games during the season. So we make excuses for those performances and say, yeah, on to the next one. But you're playing Man United at home under the floodlights. It's like it's a big game, chance for us to go back top, and you put in a performance like that. It's like not good. I just want to say though, as bad as the performance is, I'm not in any way questioning like effort or application or attitude or any of that stuff. We just played shit. It was nothing to do with being complacent or like not having the right attitude. I've got no complaints whatsoever about work rate or players like wanting to do the right things. We're just not playing well at the moment, and I was thinking because it's Anfield, it's a big game, we'll snap out of that, the crowd will get us through, and we'll see a performance. But what we saw was just a continuation of how we've been playing for most of like the last, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 weeks even. Maybe 1 or 2 games in there have been decent, but we've had a lot of like poor performances which have been masked somewhat by the fact we've kept on getting results. But, and even today, we could have, if Trent shot's like 6 inches to the right, it goes in off the post, and we're talking about, yeah, we weren't at it today, but we've won 1-0, and that's what good teams do. So it's fine margins, but I just think overall, I'm just really, really disappointed with what we served up today.
Yeah, I mean, Jules, we talked about it in the pub a little bit before the game, just the way that all the arrows were kind of pointing, really. A lot of expectation among our fans that we were going to sort of do something a little bit close to what happened last season. In my mind, that was never going to happen, no matter how badly they were playing. Perhaps this has been in the post. We haven't been playing well recently. Perhaps, if the performance didn't tick up again, it was always going to catch up with us in a game like this. And, perhaps this isn't something that shouldn't be too much of a surprise considering how we've been playing in recent weeks.
The one omen I forgot to mention in the pub before that turned out to be true is that United hadn't drawn a game in the league all season. They'd either won or they'd lost. I think it was 9-7. So obviously that was going to be a draw today. Talk about tempting fate. Dave's right. I was, after the Sheffield United game, I was like, it doesn't really matter how you play at this point of the season as long as you get the results. But if you're not playing well and then you stop getting the results, then you have a problem. And I think, there was no chance of us repeating. I think if we'd have won any more than 2-0 today, I'd have been surprised, because their primary goal would have been to come and not lose in such a spectacular manner, and whatever happens after that, great. But let's give a better account of ourselves. We cannot be losing like that. And to be honest, I don't really think they actually gave that good account of themselves. I think it was more down to Liverpool being poor than Manchester United being good. Defensively, offensively, however you want to say it, I still think they were quite poor. But fuck me, our attacking play is so poor at the moment. It's like getting a big bit of mud and throwing it at the wall and watch it slowly slide down the wall. That's how the attack is at the moment. It's so slow. It's so stodgy. It's like one of Fabinho's roast dinners in terms of stodge. It's just so slow. There's no tempo. And everything today was like Wenger's Arsenal trying to thread the eye of a needle pass through the middle, through the crowded central section, all the time, trying to pinpoint a small pass instead of just get it fucking wide, spread it out. When Gomez came on, I felt like we looked like a bit more likely, because there was wide play, crosses, fantastic.
We've been
That's
saying
what
that
we
all
need.
Season.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll come into the Trent's position and all that, but it just felt it's too stodgy through the middle, and I think if you want to look at players today, I think Kanate and Verge, fine, no problems there, played well. I think Endo gave a decent account of himself.
Thought he was boss.
He was our best player.
Yeah, Costas as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Costas at left back again, good. So Alisson solid, made a great save. So the defensive part of the team clearly was fine. It's the attacking part that is not working, that is not functioning. Because the thing is, everyone, maybe I'm wrong, but everyone goes Klopp 2.0, new team, revolution, and I think, but there's only like 2 players different from last season.
That's been on my mind for months, that whole new team thing, and I haven't said it. I'm not sure why I haven't said it, but it's basically like Gravenberch and Endo and Soboslai today. But everything else is what we're used to.
In reality, it's McAllister and Soboslai, because Gravenberch came in late and he started today, but he's not fully formed yet in the team, and Endo is now getting starts but wasn't. So up to a point, it's just like it was 2 guys, and McAllister's injured at the moment, and Soboslai's gone off the boil. So it's still roughly the same problems we're having last year, which is it's too stodgy in attack. The dynamism has gone. And Dave talks about the first 5 minutes, maybe the first 15 minutes, it was like very frenetic, and the crowd were up. But it did just feel like a dog chasing its tail or a cat playing with string and just, I gotta get that string. No plan, no execution, just action. But like this, or all bark and no bite. It didn't feel like there was any sort of real quality rhythm to the play, any real, cut that you thought we're creating chances, we're peppering the goal. It was a billion corners which were just shit. And then it just sort of petered out as we started to run out of ideas like we always do. And this time there
Didn't
was
try
no...
to do anything different from those corners either, did they? Everyone was just lumped into the box and either a tame header or it was cleared. Like, it was pissing me off. Try something a bit different.
Yeah,
like, get them moved around a little bit.
Send a different footed player over there to do it, a different angle, anything. But no, and it just seemed to peter out. And then, yeah, like a wet fart in the end. It was just, there was nothing really... I suppose we shouldn't be surprised because the performances haven't been great, and United needed to make sure that they didn't lose. I don't know. It's disappointing. It's not. I can't say it's massively surprising, but it's massively disappointing.
I thought, Dave, that I struggled to see what our plan was, and if there was a plan, it was poorly executed. But I just felt that like we were nowhere near progressive enough with the ball. Like so often it was played into an area where the attacking player immediately had to turn back away from goal. We couldn't seem to get a run on them at all, or get in behind them in any way, shape, or form. And then we were so slow, and there was so much side to side passing that United were easily able to get into their shape again every time. And then from there, it becomes a lot more difficult, and it's something that we have struggled with all season. So, I would have just liked to have seen a little bit more evidence of a clear game plan, really, and what we were trying to do. Is that something you go along with, though?
Absolutely, yeah. I don't know what we were trying to do. I don't really want to have the Trent conversation this early into the pod, but it does kind of relate to that point, so we might as well just get it out the way. Now, I've seen something before, like statistically, Trent's numbers from today, and it was like really, really good. Looks like he's had like a fantastic game. My eyes didn't tell me that. Like I thought he was as poor as everybody else, really. But that's not really the point. The point I want to make is, a lot's made of the record since Trent made that switch. We've got more points than anybody else. We've only lost one game. We all know the stats. It's like the record since that change has made really impressive. So whenever anyone's questioning it, that's what always gets thrown back at you. Well, it's working. Look, we've done this. We've won so many games. We've only lost one. Blah blah blah. And I just started to think recently. Well, how many of those games we might start the game like that, but how many games are we finishing like that? And how many are we having to make a change because it's not working? And Trent's either going into midfield, or he's maybe going to stay more at right back, and we're changing, like we're going to 4-4-2 or 4-2-3-1. We're changing things around because it's not worked. So it's like, is this record that we've got because of that switch, or is it in spite of that switch? And I think you can make the case either way, really. And as each week goes by now, and Trent's getting moved into midfield because it's not, the hybrid thing's not working, and Joe Gomez is getting brought on to give us width, Trent's going into midfield. It's like Klopp knows that, okay, Trent's going to be playing in midfield, but he doesn't want to just bow down to it and go, right, okay, that's it. It's like he's just dipping his toe in the water a little bit and just getting us used to it, because
you almost lose the benefit of having the extra man, don't you, when Gomez comes on and you just move straight into midfield.
I don't even think we're having a benefit of an extra man when Trent's in there now. It doesn't. It's not noticeable. You're not looking at it going, oh yeah, we've definitely got an extra man in there. We're completely bossing this, because
no, we just look disorganised.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it, and obviously they know more than we do, but I'm not seeing it at all. And I don't think we're getting more from Trent than we were getting from him. I'm not necessarily talking about last season when he was playing at right back, because he wasn't great, was he? But like Trent at his best when he was playing right back, are we getting more from him in this role than we were then? And I'd say no. So it's either play him at right back, tell him to knuckle down and just fucking play right back, or play him in midfield. It's starting to irritate me a bit now. But I think part of it as well is like if you move him into midfield, it's like, well, what are we doing with the players who we've bought for this new midfield? It's like because it's probably Szoboszlai's position is where Trent would probably be.
I got no problem with that based on
no,
today,
neither have I. But
honest.
you've paid a lot of money for Szoboszlai. He starts the
Sure.
season like a house on fire. We all think he's amazing, and then he's gone way, way, way off the boil lately. I don't know what's gone on there. He was poor today. Not singling him out because, like I say, other than the players we mentioned before, it were all defensive-minded. Basically, the defensive-minded players today all played well. And the attack-minded players, and I'm including Trent in that because that's his responsibility more so than defending. The attack-minded players, not one of them comes out of it with any credit whatsoever. So I'm not necessarily putting all of that down to those players themselves either. I think most of our issues, these bad performances that we've had, it's glossed over by the results, but we've not been playing well. And I think a lot of it is down to the tactical approach. We keep saying about there's not enough width, everything's going through the middle. That's not about today. I was like, the Derby game springs to mind for me for that one. That was like really bad with everything through the middle. And it's happened a lot of times where that's a point that we've all been making. It's like, why are we attacking through the middle all the time when it's not working? And it doesn't suit the players that we've got when we're doing that either. And look, don't take this as me defending Nunez, because I'm not defending his performance today at all. But I don't think that helps him at all when everything's like bunched up like that. Today, he's like, he may as well not being on the pitch. He just wasn't getting anything to feed off. And the little moments he had where he should have done something, he didn't. He did fuck all with it. So and also
He looks a bit lost at the moment, to be honest.
he looked lost. Today's the first time I thought he looked lost. Other games, maybe things haven't gone his way, but today he just looked like, what the fuck am I supposed to be doing here? He looked like he didn't really know what he was meant to be doing. And I don't necessarily think that specifically is his fault. What is his fault is like in the first half, the one moment when he did get a pass and it's like, okay, you've either got to shift it and hit your shot early or you roll it to Costas, and he didn't do either. And then he stood on the ball for what felt like about 30 seconds trying to decide what to do. I'm like, that's not good. You've got to do better there. The second half, there was one when it ended up like Diaz ended up having a shot blocked and there was appeals for a penalty, which I haven't seen it back, I don't know. But again, I thought maybe Darwin needed to get his shot away quicker. So I'm not defending his performance by any means, but I don't think the way we're playing is going to allow him to shine in any way when we're playing like that. And what makes it worse is when the other two front players are playing the way they played. Mo had a lot of the ball and didn't really do hardly anything with it, but he was involved in a couple of probably our best chances really came from like him playing passes, so he still contributed like that, but he's not playing well. I think we've had a lot of performances like this from Mo this season, but again that gets masked when he's scoring or he's getting an assist. But general performance wise, he doesn't look like he's in good form at all. Diaz, I mean, I didn't think he was as bad today as he has been recently. I thought he started quite lively. He was trying to get involved. He was working hard. He was coming in field trying to get on the ball. But what's he actually giving us? We're not getting anything out of him at all. It's like we're getting absolutely nothing from him. And that whole dynamic of the front three, it's not clicking. And it's also not being helped by how the midfield are playing and what they're getting from the midfield. Everything just looks wrong at the moment, like just in terms of the fluidity. And as Jules said before, it was all so stodgy through the middle, and just not one of the attacking players come out of that with any credit. But you have to ask the question, well, is that down to every one of those players just having a bad day at the same time, or is it to do with the tactical approach? And I'd be way more inclined to say that's to do with how we're setting up and what they're being asked to do, because every one of them playing like shit. There's like, that's a bit of a coincidence that they just all had an off day, isn't it? And especially because they've not been playing well recently either.
Jules, I think it's got to be tactical in some ways, right? Because if you look at Mo and you look at Diaz, their instinct is always to come inside on their better foot, and defenders are kind of well aware of that. But previously we had Robbo and Trent either side of those two players, like bombing forward, giving us an option. Like I don't know, and the times when those lads did find a bit of space wide and they're sort of getting their crosses in. The reason we had so many corners is because every single one of those crosses were not well delivered and quite easily blocked. And it just felt, like, no wonder sort of Darwin is struggling a little bit, because there just wasn't anything for him to get his teeth into coming into the box. Like, he could be quite sharp in those areas where the ball's being fizzed across the box, and he scored a lot of goals from there. So it just feels like there's not really anything. We just don't look very dangerous, to be honest.
No, like a blunt knife at the moment.
Yeah.
There's certainly the lack of width is a excuse me, brought on by the change of system, is causing a problem up to a point, because you're right, you'll sometimes see like Mo isolated, and he's having to look a lot further, or someone like Soberslai's having to go a lot further out wide, and then you're obviously vacating the middle of the pitch to get that overload on the side. The crossing, I mean, in my opinion, professional football should be able to put in a pretty decent cross most of the time. So if they're not doing that, that's on them, not on any tactics. I was saying today before we started that it seems to me that like Mo's lost a little bit of a step. Like you'll find no bigger fan of Mo than me, but obviously he's getting on. He's done it for a long time. His powers are going to diminish, and maybe they're starting to diminish. But the problem is, that's fine, that happens. Father Time is undefeated and all that. But the problem is every player we bought to replace Mane, Firmino, even Origi if you want, they're not. None of them have really come in. Like Jota scores goals. Nunez has scored goals, Gakpo has, Diaz, but they're not consistent. There's no consistency there. And is it that the caliber of player brought in is not up to the level of the previous player?
Agreed.
Or is the tactics stifling those players' ability?
Probably both.
To get the best out of those players. And I'm not smart enough with tactics and all that kind of stuff to know, but I can tell you that I can't see that like no one's really firing on all cylinders. And if we're doing a depth chart of who's hot to cold, they're all in the freezer at the moment, but like who's on the top shelf and who's on the bottom shelf, who's hanging around with the polar bears and who's like on the rocky shore. I'd say that Mo is still probably the hottest at the moment, which isn't saying a lot. And then Jota probably, and he's injured at the moment. Then Gakpo, then Nunez, and then like Diaz is ice fucking cold at the moment. He's not really creating and he's not scoring, and it's very easy to defend against a player who's not scoring and not creating.
Yeah.
Mo is doing one of the other, and Darwin. Well, Darwin's going backwards now at the moment because he's being caught offside too often. He's not even doing the thing that I would say is his biggest flaw, which is blamming the ball. He's now not shooting when he should be. He's caught, and as Dave said about like when he was like sort of stood on the ball and like, oh, what am I doing for which felt like an eternity. He's indecisive as well. So I don't know how you can tactically tweak it. I don't know if you now maybe say it's time to play Gakpo up top for a little bit, someone a slightly more cerebral player than Nunez.
I don't want to see that.
I would try it at this point, maybe for sure. I thought he was better than the other three when he came on today.
Also,
I thought he was shit when he came on.
Did you? Yeah. Okay.
Is it not better at this point to sort of use Nunez as off the bench as an impact sub because he's having no impact as a starter?
Yeah, maybe. I can't argue too much against it. I'm just saying the idea of Gakpo coming in.
No, it doesn't
feels
fill
like
me
it's
with.
It's through default. It's like.
Yeah, it is. It is through default.
Let's just give it a try. Not because there's anything he's done that to make me think, yeah, put him in. Like you can change the midfield by putting Harvey in, and that's because you're like, well, he deserves a chance. Put him in. He deserves a goal. With the forwards, you're making changes, just hoping that something might pay off.
I'm not sure.
It is hope, though.
What?
It is hope, but I think Gakpo has never really had like a run of games. Like I would say, okay, Cody, I mean, we know it's going to change a lot because of cup games and that kind of stuff. But I'd say, okay, Cody, you're going to start the next 5 or 6 Premier League games. See if you can get yourself into a rhythm, and we'll go from there. Because he's struggled, doesn't he? Like he never really plays in the Premier League games. He's like played in midweek. He's playing the League Cup games. Like I would just, even if it's putting Darwin on the left again.
That might be
and they can they can switch again a little bit, but I think Gakpo probably gives us a little bit more of a focal point in the way that Bobby did.
But Jota might be back though, mightn't he? If Jota, I don't know where he is, like, in terms of how close he is, but he was back jogging a week ago. So if he was to have a full week of training this week, maybe Jota comes into it for the Arsenal game.
On team selection, I'm not sure why Gravenberch was preferred over, like, say, Elliott today as a starter.
Probably because
like,
of midweek, wasn't it? We knew the ones who played the full match on Thursday were not
yeah,
going to
but
start
like,
today.
First of all, I don't think Gravenberch brought much more energy than Elliott would have anyway.
No, I agree.
And second of all, Elliott's played such little football. Why not? And same with Jones. Like, you've got to get, like, he's been off form. You've got to get him back into form. It would have meant he might have been like that little bit extra spark because it's a local rivalry game for him. I'm not sure what those two have to do. Like, I wouldn't advocate starting them both together. And the selection for Arsenal is going to be interesting because they've got quite a lively, dynamic midfield. So
Gravenberch is injured now as well. So
Jules as well. Like, if you're not starting them, why are you waiting until 15 minutes to go to bring them on as well? Like,
77th minute I think it was they came on. Yeah.
What I wanted to ask about that, like, because I thought, the first substitution that was made and Gakpo comes on and plays on the right hand side. Like, basically, we kind of went, like, you can call it 4-2-3-1 or you can call it 4-4-2, whatever you want to call it. Either way, Gakpo comes on and is playing on the right. And this is not specifically against Gakpo, but I'm like, how's he getting on ahead of Harvey for a position on like, the right-hand side where, Harvey's played there a lot, he's comfortable there, he's made an impact in that role. How is Gakpo getting on before Harvey in that situation? Now, I didn't have any issue with Gakpo coming on. I thought, when I seen Gakpo's coming on, my first thought was, okay, Darwin's coming off here, and I couldn't have had any complaints about that at all. I thought that's what we would have done. I also thought, okay, good chance that maybe Diaz comes off and Gakpo goes on the left. What I wasn't expecting was him to be coming on ahead of Harvey and playing in the position where Harvey's like tailor-made to come on and play there. I thought that was a bit... I don't know why Harvey wasn't brought... The first player off the bench should have been Harvey based on what we've seen all season. I suppose that's the point that I'm making. So I don't know what you two thought about that.
It's weird as well that, like, Elliott at the start of last season played a lot, started a lot of games, and now, like, he just doesn't get the start at all. I can't imagine it's like management of fitness or anything. It's very, very... It's just like, it's just another unanswered question when the midfield and the attack is so stodgy and so... you're trying to play intricate moves. Well, when play a player who's very good at intricate passing rather than anybody else, it's very strange to me.
And I guess it comes back to the fact that, like, for the longest time, we had a clear idea of... We always knew what they were trying to do. Like, we always knew what the plan was, and you could understand the rationale behind who was starting and who the substitutions were. You didn't always agree with it, but at least you could rationalise it in your own brain why it was happening. Like, with the tactics today and with the substitutions today, it's just another sign that you're kind of wondering what it is that we're actually trying to do.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Because if plan A is working, the substitutions you're making are just going to be like for like to just get fresh legs on in those positions because plan A is great, it's working. How many times this season, and it's a good thing in some ways, the fact that we're flexible, like they can come up with new systems and bring players on and just find a way to win the game by the substitutions we're making. So that is a good thing. But it's also a bit of a red flag that why are we having to play like 3 different systems in a game? It's because what we're doing is not really working the way we want it to. So we've played like 2-3 systems today. We're bringing on subs to change things around. Klopp said afterwards, we tried everything. We brought on like different players. We tried different systems. I'm like, it's good that you're doing that. I like the flexibility. I like the fact that you're prepared to think about these things and try new things to see if it works. But the fact that you're having to do that is because the initial approach that we've started the game with has not got the job done. And it's not a one-off, because it's happening quite a bit, really, where subs are having to come on and win the game for us. We're making tactical changes, not just like for like player coming on for a player in the same position. We're switching things around because it's not really working. The only thing that I'd say, and I said this to John when we were coming out, is like, I think now what we're seeing is what we expected to see at the start of the season. That it's a work in progress. It's going to look a bit sketchy at times. But because we got to where we were, it's like we're top of the league, and it's like coming up to Christmas, and you would have expected us to be hitting our stride now after overcoming, difficulties in the start of the season, everyone getting to know each other, all of that. But it feels like we've actually gone backwards over the last month compared to where we were. So that's why it's a bit, a little bit alarming. But at the start of the season, we did expect like that these kinds of performances were going to happen, because it's, we've got an entirely new midfield. We're trying to bed in like a different front three than what's played in previous seasons, and so you do think teething problems and that, which is what we're seeing at the moment. But because we've done so well to get to the top of the league, we're all expecting us to be better than what we're actually showing at the moment.
You can subscribe to the Liverpool Way podcast on all the major platforms, whether it's Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon or Podbean. Just search for the Liverpool Way, leave us a review and hit subscribe to automatically receive all new episodes. You can also head to liverpoolway.co.uk and grab a TLW season ticket for just £3 a month. There's tons of exclusive content, including match reports from every Liverpool game, weekly Premier League roundups, the TLW diary and access to the members-only forum. Lastly, you can follow us on social media at The Liverpool Way on Twitter and at The Liverpool Way TLW on Instagram and Facebook. I think as well we're all sniffing the opportunity as well. So this feels a little bit more damaging than it would have been if we were sort of hanging around third, fourth place and Man City were doing what Man City do and they were, 5 or 6 points clear at this stage.
Yeah.
We wouldn't necessarily be. You could probably understand a performance like this and a result like this if the expectations hadn't been raised a little bit by the fact that this is one of Man City's off seasons. They don't come around very often. We need to be able to take advantage of it, and the fact that we didn't today is disappointing, but perhaps also a little bit of a reality check that we perhaps needed. Jules?
It was certainly a reality check, yeah. I suppose it's hard to take as well, maybe because Aston Villa are level on points with us. Out of nowhere.
Just looking at that.
Yeah, I think that's that. You've got the Man City have had a rocky period, and they don't come around often, so you've got to take advantage of that. But the fact that Villa are keeping pace is also like, well, that doesn't really excuse anyone would say they've not got the team that Liverpool have, and yet there they are doing this, and so yes, it's a bit. I can see where you're coming from, but also Aston Villa exist at the moment, so I can't really have that as an excuse. It just needs to be. I said at the start, I expect, and I don't really mind that performances are not great at this time of the year. It's a tough period. There's lots of games. It's hard work, and so I wouldn't expect flashy performances. And look, this game is one game in isolation. If you beat Arsenal next week, our goal difference is better than Villa's, so we would be back on top of the table.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I don't think we'll beat Arsenal next week, because if you play like that, Arsenal will shred you. Because they, as I've said, they're much more dynamic in midfield. I don't think they're better than us in attack, but in midfield they're so much more dynamic at the moment. Yeah. So,
they're better than us in attack based on the way we've played in like the last month or so.
Yeah, that's fair. Like everyone goes on that we've got we've got 5 forwards and they all score goals and we're well stocked. but we're not feeling that, are we? It's the eye test again. We are not feeling that we are cohesive in
No,
attack.
cup
That
games
we can
distort it
open
as
it.
well, though, Jules.
Yeah.
Because Nunes hasn't scored in the league for 2 months, and Gakpo hasn't scored in the league since September. So the cup
Is it
games
that
do
long for
distort it a
Gakpo?
little bit. Yeah, yeah. He scored in
Yeah.
cup,
It's
so you
bizarre.
still think, oh, he's chipping in with goals, but it's been
But then
in
again,
cup
how
games.
many games has he started in the
Well,
league?
I know.
Yeah.
I'm not using that as a stick to beat him with. I'm just saying, you're saying about like you don't think Arsenal's attack's better than ours, but at the moment it is. On paper, it's probably
No.
not, but in terms of
Yeah.
how they're playing, I feel like they're more dangerous than us at the
And
moment.
I feel like
Martinelli's
Arsenal.
doing more than Diaz. Saka's probably like maybe he's on a par with Mo, but in terms of creativity, he's probably he's.
But I
their
feel
main
Arsenal
man,
are
isn't he? And
grinding
then
results a little bit at the moment as well. They're not the full sum of their parts like compared to last
no,
year.
they're not
And
fluent. But
and
I think
let's not forget they lost last weekend.
they're a bit unlucky
So
though. I
this,
thought they played.
I don't
alright
really,
against Villa.
yes but they still lost.
Yeah, but they
You know,
didn't. They were unlucky. They played quite well, and Villa away is a tough game, and they did put in a performance. So I don't read too much into that really.
I think they should be.
Next week's going to be a different game as well, though. To today, like you can't, you won't,
Well,
you
they'll
won't get.
attack.
Yeah, exactly. They'll come out a little bit,
Yeah.
so there'll be opportunities for both sides, and
Sorry, Chris.
know-
Just you make
Yeah,
you
go
made
on,
a
man.
point there. And I just wanted to cover the other thing with Nunez is you've got this pacey bastard up front, and then we never seem to be able to play him in and use his pace. Like I know it's difficult when teams defend deep and everything, but on counters, our counters are slow as shit as well at the moment. Like you've got
Yeah.
this fast fucker up front. Why aren't we giving it? Why aren't we
Fast
like you
fuck
like?
up against Johnny Evans today, by
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah, half
Never
dead
got a
Johnny
chance
Evans.
to run at him.
Yeah. That's like what's going on here? Why aren't we? The one definitive attribute Darwin has that is like not hampered by form is his pace. You can be out of form, but you're still fucking quick. Why do we never seem to be able to get like these fast breaks going on with them up front as well? It's very frustrating.
Yeah.
maybe I don't think he's as switched on as like Mo is.
He's definitely not switched on. He's always offside.
Well, he is always offside, and he was 3 or 4 times today again as well. Which I think the crowd have started to cotton onto that fact now, and
A couple of them first half ones was dodgy as fuck though. I was right in line with them, and we were saying at half time, why is the linesman like usually close ones they don't do nothing because they wait and see how the play develops, and he's putting his flag up, and all of us in the main stand who were in line with it like what the fuck are you doing?
I've no idea what their criteria is for putting the flag up
weird.
or down anymore.
It's weird. I don't know
Yeah.
what was going on. That's
ever
not
look-
to say that he's not offside far too much, because he is. I've been saying that myself. But a couple of them first half ones, I just found it really weird that the linesman was flagging for them. But yeah, we need to talk about like the yellow card as well, because in light of what happened later on in the game, when Dallo got sent off, I don't know what the fuck's going on there with Michael Oliver, because he books Darwin for the challenge on Johnny Evans, which at the time I'm like, not sure about that, but I've seen the replay. I'm like, yeah, you can book him for that, like no problem. And then Darwin feels like that the linesman's got him booked, so like the ref books him, and Darwin turns around and he starts like applauding the linesman and going, yeah, well done, you got your own way and all that. I'm like, what are you doing? Don't fucking do that. Do not do that. And then he starts walking away, but he's still like muttering, like I think it's to himself at this point. But you can see, right, okay, you need to fucking shut up now, because you're
Klopp
walking a
yelled at him,
tightrope.
didn't he?
And then Klopp's like shouting at him, like, calm down and that. So if I'm a United fan there, I'm looking at that and going, he's done that. And then, because am I right in saying, like, Dallo's sending off? When he got sent off, I'm like, what's that for? Because I didn't think he was already on a yellow. Did he just immediately get like 2 yellows, just like bang bang for what he did?
I'm pretty sure that's what happened, because it
So-
wasn't a foul, was it? Because we had a throw in.
Yeah, he thought that it should have been a throw in for them, and all their fans at that time, like when it went up, they were all like, "Our ball," and he thought it was their ball. And when he didn't get it, he like flung his arms and was like shouting at the ref. So he got a yellow card for that, and then the red card comes out as though he'd already been booked, but he must have said something after he'd been booked for the first like gesture of dissent. So you're looking at that and going, well, hang on, how are you sending him off, but you didn't do that for Nunez in the first half? I just think like the right decision there is like just yellow cards for both of them and not two yellows for Dalot. And I also think there's not a fucking chance in hell that Michael Oliver does that if it's like 70 minutes on the clock and not like 92 or whatever it was. I just felt like that was him being like just a little job's worth there, because he's not going to make that decision unless it's right at the end of the game.
Were you guys worried that there was going to be like a VAR check for the Darwin, the incident that he got booked for? Because I figured that was
no, because
bound to be checked. I didn't have a very good view of it, but
I didn't think there was much in it, and even I've seen replays before, and like the first replay I seen confirmed what I actually thought was he's just kind of barged into him, and then there's another angle where he barges into him, but he's leading a little bit with the elbow, so the elbow maybe catches him in like the the middle of the ribs or something, and like that's why he goes down, but there's no way that's a red card. So like, but because at the time I didn't think there was much in it, I wasn't expecting like any kind of VAR check. I don't know if I mean they look at everything, don't they? But sometimes like they'll stop the game to look at it, but they didn't in that case. But I'm sure like they must have looked at it. But no, but he's lucky that like once you've got a yellow, if you carry it on after you've been booked, because you're supposed to get a yellow card if you applaud the referee, or well, you didn't applaud the referee, it was the linesman, but if you do that sarcastically applaud an official, it's usually a yellow card, isn't it? So
you got accused of defending him on Twitter by Fiona over that, didn't you? Like, she said that. What are you defending him for?
Someone said he was applauding the referee. I'm like, well, he wasn't. He was applauding the linesman. It wasn't the referee. I'm not defending it. I'm just stating the fact that it wasn't the referee. Maybe if it was the referee, he would have got a second yellow, but either the ref didn't see it, or he just wasn't. He wasn't that arsed. I don't know, but to do what he did later in the game and with Dalot, and then he's not done that for Nunez. There's like massive inconsistency there, isn't there?
I just don't think Darwin's a very smart person, or to be honest, like,
what about when he stopped?
What's he doing? Why did he stop? What the fuck did he stop for, man?
I thought he stopped because he was appealing for a penalty. I thought he thought it was a penalty, but I don't think that's it. I think because I've watched the replay of that as well, and I think he just thought the ball was going out, but there was spin on the ball, so it slowed up and it stayed in, and he'd already left it because he thought it had gone, and then he's looked and gone, oh shit, I need to chase that. But thankfully for him, it did like roll out. But it looked weird, didn't it? Like that he didn't chase it, he just stopped. But I think he just thought the ball was running out, and then the spin just slowed it down. But it didn't look good.
Yeah, I mean, Jules, there were chances, not very many great ones, but you know, we had the Trent effort that just goes just wide. If Virgil's header in the first half is like a yard either side, that's a goal because he got right behind it. There are a couple other situations where, you know, Konate had the effort where he spins well and hits the shot. It goes straight at the goalkeeper again. Mo had a little curling effort in the second half that was pretty routine save for the goalie, really. But I think it just came down to the fact that we didn't really have any cutting edge whatsoever in our attacking play. So it's not really a surprise that that was also reflected in the finishing as well.
Yeah, the fact that you can't test a goalkeeper that's been as dodgy as Onana is an indictment as well. You've got to be like putting him under pressure to make better saves, to make bad decisions. He came out for a cross late on in the second half, and he came past close to his edge of his 6-yard box, past the 6-yard box, and I our corners, nothing ever really put pressure on him to make those bad decisions, so to speak, and to give us something there. And he seemed to me to be like, like someone like me would be in goal. Like, you'd make a routine save, but you'd make it look a little bit better because that's about as good as you're going to get from it. So you make it like the shot from Mo. It was a fairly routine save, and he's like he makes that save and he makes it look a bit, and then he's bouncing the ball. He's like chest puffed out, like, yeah, I just done that. And I just think that's a goalkeeper that's not very confident at the moment, and you've really not done anything to knock his confidence. No barracking around on corners, making sure that he's like gives it the old David James and punches it badly or anything like that. And that just feels like, you're not tweaking your tactics. You're not tweaking your skills to what's currently going to what's right in front of you. Like you have that. We had 7 corners after 30 minutes, and nothing really put any pressure on him. So
Yeah, they were all
So not only
outswingers.
Yeah.
not only are we lacking cutting edge, but we're not even playing like streetwise or smart and using like the current form of other players and knowledge of how they're playing to sort of gain that little bit of extra knowledge advantage that you could do with. Very frustrating. He's the shittest goalkeeper they've had since
Taibbi.
Taibbi. I was going to say Taibbi.
Yeah.
I was trying to think if there was anybody else who came after Taibbi. It was
But
like
he didn't pay
Barthez.
like what 50 odd million quid for Taibbi.
No, no, they didn't. No, he was yeah. He used to be, was he a tracky bottom keeper, Taibbi?
Might be, you know.
Yeah, I
think
feel like he was.
Yeah, I think he was.
But
Always a dodgy sign.
yeah, it is. But yeah, he's I just feel like it should be in the team talk, right? This guy's a bit shit. This is what we need to be doing. Put pressure on him here. Put pressure on him there. Never did it. But then again, attacking wise, we're just a bunch of components not pieced together properly currently. It's not fluid. Sometimes you can see like a little bit. You can see what it could be with Mo and with Darwin, but it's not all. It's not all the time. It's about 40%, 30% of the time, and again, we haven't been scoring a lot of goals, and I didn't know Gakpo hadn't scored in the league till September, but like that's not a massive surprise. So it's not a massive surprise that we ended the game not scoring and looking as impotent as we did. You can have 30 odd shots, but then the XG is what, 2, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we weren't creating clear cut chances, which is always a red flag if you're not really if you're. It's the act of desperation. Who did that bad dive? Was it Soboslai for a penalty in the
Szoboszlai, yeah.
second half? Awful. Should have been booked for that. Terrible dive. And I just thought when he did that, I thought, yeah, that's the official sign that we've run out of ideas because we're now resorting to bad dives in the penalty area.
When I thought we ran out of ideas when Trent started those big, high, hopeful, attempted balls to the back post,
Yeah.
and he ballooned one into the United end. And I was saying to John, I was like, even if he'd have put that cross where he wanted to put it, it was still a terrible decision, and we were not going to get anything from it, you know. And it just felt like it was desperation at that point. We'd been passing it round, pass, and eventually Trent's gone, fuck this, I'm putting it in the middle. But you know, another one that done me head in was I can't remember who it was who tried to do it, but like Mo popped the ball off to someone and then made a run into the middle. I think it was Gakpo, and then he tried to cross it in the air to Mo, who was stood between Varane and Evans.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing? The percentage of like that coming off is probably less than like 1%. It was such a bad decision, but that was the kind of thing we were doing all day, just bad decisions. Klopp said that afterwards himself. He said, you know, a lot of the things that we done was good. It was what we wanted to do, but if you're not making that right decision, like that final pass, then you know you're going to struggle. And what he said was that like people are going on about, oh, United defended well, and that Klopp was like, we got them disorganised at times. Basically means they were scrambling, and when a team's scrambling like that, someone's open. You've got a spare man, and we never like shifted the ball to get it to like the spare player who we should have got it to. It was like someone had tried like a stupid shot that got blocked, or you know, they picked the wrong pass, and that's what we were doing just all day really. So frustrating, just really horrible day.
I take umbrage with what he said afterwards, really, about him not being able to remember such a dominant performance against Man United. Even the 7-0, they were more in the game. Well,
that's deflecting though, isn't it?
Yeah, he also
it's
said
absolutely
Szoboszlai is
deflecting.
outstanding.
Okay.
Or exceptional, I think he said. So
That's putting someone over in classic deflection, because none of those things are true. There were more bad decisions today than an average stag do in Vegas. They've just like bad decision after bad decision.
Yeah, but you know, we were only dominant because that's the way they set up, and that's how they envisaged the game going. It wasn't due to anything that we did. If they'd come out a little bit more, like they looked pretty dangerous in the second half when they came out a little bit. Like they popped the ball off well to each other, and you know they found the space where it was. And in the end, I feel like they were more likely to walk away with the 3 points than we were. I had a terrible feeling on like 5 or 6 occasions when they got the ball there, and in other circumstances you could have just sort of saw the way that was going to go, and I felt like,
their chance
they were
was
going to be the
when
ones.
Alisson made the save, wasn't it? That was their moment.
Yeah. Luckily, it fell to that Hoyland lad who
Yeah.
clearly is even less potent than us in front of goal. So
He cost 70 million, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
I think he did.
Uh,
Yeah.
Outrageous. You don't get much for 70 million these days, do you?
Nice. Did you guys see the thing with like Roy Keane kicking off about Virgil's comments after the game as well?
I've read about it, but
I
I've seen
haven't, go on.
Virgil's comments, and I don't think he was... It kind of looks... When it's written down, it looks like, oh, that's maybe not great, but when you read the full quote, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't think there's
What
any...
was it?
Yeah, no.
He just said... like, he wasn't making a big thing of this. It was just sort of like in amongst what he was saying. He said, like, there's only one team trying to win the game. And he also said, they're buzzing about getting a point and we're really disappointed. But he wasn't like saying that in a, oh, look at the state of you celebrating the point. He was just stating a fact, which was true. They were made up with a point, and we were really disappointed by it. Roy Keane's like saying it's disrespectful, and what, you've won one league title in 30 years. Who do you think you are to be that arrogant? Just all like the usual nonsense.
I know you like him, Dave, but he's a fucking bellend, that bloke.
He's a tit when he's in
Fucking
situations like that.
Old man yells at cloud.
Yeah.
Fucking parody of a
That's
human
his role,
being.
though. That's what he's...
Fuck him.
That's what he's
fuck
there
his
to
role.
do. But no, on that overlap thing, he's brilliant. He's dead funny.
Played in more European Cup finals than Roy Keane, though, hasn't
I think Sturridge said that to him,
he? Did he?
Sturridge, I haven't seen what Sturridge said. I know Sturridge said something about, well, how many Champions League medals? Show us your Champions League medals or something like that. So yeah, Sturridge took him to task over it. Like,
Nice.
It's not even that. Like actual finals, he hasn't played that many. And he didn't play in one, did he? Because he was suspended for it.
Suspended.
yeah.
And that great Ferguson team only got to one because they're fucking losers.
So what else do you guys want to touch on here? What else have we not really covered today? I've usually got a shitload of notes when I'm not at the game, but I'm kind of winging it here because I just got in when we got in.
See, now you know what it's like when Dave hosts.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
Let's be fair, not a lot happened in the game.
No.
It was a bad game of football. There's no getting away from it. If you were a United fan, you might have been okay with getting a draw after you'd been tonked there 7-0 last season. You recover a little bit of pride, although again, it's not a great performance from them. If you're us, you're really not happy with that performance. Whatever Roy Keane says, you've a right to feel deflated playing like that and only getting a draw. You need to win. If you're a neutral, if you watched all that as a neutral, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
There's far better things to be doing on this last Sunday before Christmas, not including Christmas Eve, that you could have been doing than watching that shite. Because it was a bad game of football.
Yeah, it was.
Does this change how you guys feel in terms of our title prospects for the season? Like, did you feel less inclined to believe that it's plausible now, Dave?
I don't know, because we did say, like, we're top and we've not been playing well. So it doesn't change anything in that. And I do think we'll snap out of it and we will start playing well at some point. So if we're still hanging around at the top when we do start playing well, then, we've got every chance. The worry would be, how long is it going to be until we do start playing well, and will we drop points in the meantime? But I think, Man City are clearly not what Man City usually are. So you're probably looking at like mid-80s, high 80s is going to win you the league this year. I don't think it's going to be like 90 or above, because City are not going to reach that number. I suppose Arsenal could go on a run and they might do. I don't know, but I don't necessarily think that's the case. And I'm not writing City off.
They've got a run now where they don't play a top 10 team until March.
Yeah, so I'm not writing them off because they've got De Bruyne to come back, so they'll be better then. But De Bruyne is not going to stop them from shipping the amount of goals that they're shipping. So there's something like not functioning with them as it normally would be. I expect them to get their act together, but I don't necessarily think they're going to be one of those reel off like 15 wins on the bounce like they normally do. I don't think they've got that in them. but they're obviously going to get better, which is kind of why today's really pissed me off, because it was a chance to go like 6 points ahead of them. Plus, we play twice more before they play again, because they're at like the World Club Championship thing.
Oh,
So,
is that what's done us in? Is it the old World Club Championship not putting points on the board syndrome
yeah,
again?
I remember what happened last time. So
Oh,
we
that's
just
what's
went on like a
happened.
load of draws at home to shit
Yeah,
teams, which the pattern's repeating
yeah,
itself. It was Hull was one, wasn't it?
yeah.
Can't remember the other one. And then United today. So
Was it West Ham?
might have
It was
been.
West Ham. It was
You,
West Ham.
yeah, we drew 0-0 and got booed off, didn't we?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So yeah, the pattern's repeating itself, drawing at home with shit teams while like your title rivals away at the World Club Championship.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was a chance. Like in theory, we could have been like 12 points ahead of City by the time they come back. Now, yeah, they've got games in hand, but then they're having to play games in a short space of time, and they haven't got like a massive squad. So it would have been tough for them. Like psychologically, they're like coming back and they're like, oh, we've got to claw back 12 points. And it's not going to be 12. Like, best case scenario now, it's going to be 10. And even that, we're going to have
That's
to
a
beat
stretch
Arsenal to
considering
do that.
the
And
two games that they are Newcastle as well.
that's what I mean. And so that's why it's deflating today. Because I think we probably still see City as like the main team that you've got to finish above. Even though Arsenal, you can argue Arsenal. I'm not putting Villa in that. I know Villa are up there, but they've got to do more to convince me that like I should be taking them really seriously. So you want to finish above City more than anybody, and it feels like there's an opportunity to do that, but you've got to make hay while the sun shines, because they will get their act together at some point. So it just depends now. There's question marks about us, isn't it? There's a lot of question marks about the way we're playing in attack specifically, because I think we're defending pretty well.
Yeah, I think so.
Every time we concede a goal, there's like a big inquest about Liverpool dodgy defence, and I think we're defending well. I've got no issues with our defending. You're going to give away chances. That's football. To go through a game and not give away a chance is rare. So even today, United have had like a couple of opportunities, but that's normal. That's fine. That doesn't reflect badly on the defence. I thought the defence played well, so I'm not worried about that side of it. I am worried about the attack, because it doesn't look right. The players off form, the system doesn't look right. Things need to improve, and I don't know necessarily how they're going to do that. Whether they're just going to keep doing what they're doing and hope it comes right, or if they're going to make changes. Like specifically, okay, Trent, you're in midfield all the time now. We're going with Gomez at right back. Maybe that's the next thing that they're going to have to do. And I think that decision's a lot easier to make based on how Szoboszlai's playing at the moment. Early in the season, you wouldn't have considered doing that, would you? Because he looked great. You wouldn't have been thinking put Trent in his spot. But now, I don't know.
I think there's something in what Jules said before. And you weren't stating this, but you were sort of questioning the possibility when you're talking about the attack. I just think the players aren't as good. I think Diaz isn't anywhere near as good as Sadio Mane. I don't think Gakpo or Darwin are as good as Bobby Firmino was, and I don't think Mo Salah is as good as Mo Salah was 2 or 3 years ago. Obviously, just because of the nature of time. So, if we're comparing the two, it doesn't look right, and B, it's not as good.
Yeah.
So there's a number of things as well. Just the individuals aren't as good as the other ones. So there's going to be a drop off.
Yeah, well,
Like,
Diaz isn't even as good as Diaz. The Diaz who first came here is not the Diaz we're seeing now. It's like not even close.
I think we got 3 good months out of Luis Diaz, and we, because of injuries and other reasons. He started last season quite well, didn't he? And up until the injury against Arsenal,
he was our best player until the injury.
He probably was, because I remember you talking about him being one of the only ones who still had the eye of the tiger.
Yeah.
But since his return from injury, it's not been good. It's actually been really fucking bad. So I mean,
it's got the eye of the sloth now.
You thought about sugarcoating that, and then you got a case of the fuck-ums halfway through.
Well, I did as well. I feel for him as well, because he's been through a lot, the lad, as well, and all these kind of like, trips to Colombia every 5 minutes this season haven't helped either, have they? So, Same for everybody though. So what you
But
can
the
do.
annoying thing about that, though, is like he goes back to Colombia and he's fucking boss. He's like scoring goals. Same with Darwin. It's like every time they go back to South America, they're scoring goals, they're looking great, and you're like, oh yeah, get them back here now. And then they're coming back and just it's not the same. They're just not doing it here. Which
Maybe
again
the
probably
calibre of
points to the
defence.
fact, like, well, one, international football shit,
Yeah.
and two, they're playing in like teams that actually know how to get the best out of them, and that's not really what's happening here, for whatever reason. But like, I mean, Diaz's main strength was dribbling. When you think about Diaz, you picture him like running at players. That's what he does, and his dribbling stats this season are horrendous. And like today, apparently he didn't have like one successful dribble, which I thought I remember him like skinning
It's
someone.
classed as a successful dribble.
Yeah, I don't know, because he did go past someone, like, and then he ended up getting fouled. So
There's
I'm
baby and
surprised
age
at that,
jokes
like,
to be
but-
made here about not dribbling properly anymore.
But yeah, as you say, I don't know how they work out these things, because I thought he did have like a couple of like successful take-ons, as they call it.
Beats
But
the defender while retaining possession.
yeah, well, I thought he did that today at least once, but apparently he didn't. But his overall like dribbling stats are just like way down, which points to the fact he's not as explosive. He's probably lost like half a yard since the injury. And I bet you Mo's numbers are way down as well, because when was the last time Mo beat somebody? It's not his game anymore. Like, he does different things now. He doesn't do the things that he used to be able to do. So
You might want to tell him it's not his game anymore.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
he doesn't seem to realise.
no, just running straight into the fullback, or like shifting it to the side and doing a little floaty curler.
Floaty curlers. That's a good way to describe our performance today, actually. A floaty
Yeah,
curler.
there's a shit
Yeah.
joke in there somewhere, isn't there? Yeah.
All right. What else from today then? Anything else you guys want to touch on? Their approach or
They're fans. Like, when we were coming out at the end, like, it's quite funny actually. So like, we were walking out. We'd stayed behind for about a minute afterwards, just to let like, the crowds on the row like filter out, because there's no point just standing around waiting. So like, then we started to move out and we were walking towards their fans, but obviously we don't sit down that end. But like, we're walking towards them. John turns around and goes, "Didn't hear any tragedy chanting from them today." And I was like, well, I didn't really hear anything from them, but that's not to say they weren't singing, but I think like the acoustics in the stadium's just different now. It's really hard to hear like noise from the away end. I'm sure they were singing, but like I said to John, I was like, I didn't really hear anything, to be fair. And then at that moment, they started singing "Always the Victim," didn't they? Like, as fans were leaving the stadium, the ones the United fans who were still in there, started belting that out. And like, John's like, yeah, spoke too soon there, didn't I? But
so it wouldn't have come acrough on the TV cameras either.
yeah. So
They did
were
sing
probably
Feed
on
the
a-
Scousers.
I didn't. As I say, I couldn't hear nothing. But yeah, they'll have probably done that while Sky were on an ad break after the game. But I don't
they
know if
that
they did
clever?
it during the game. I don't know. But like, yeah, they were doing it at the end. The pricks.
I got out the moment the final whistle went. I was because where I sit, I'm right next to an exit. So I was, as soon as that whistle went, I was fucking gone. I didn't want to listen to those cunts. I didn't want that to be my last abiding memory of being in Anfield for a few months, which it is. But anyway, Jules, anything else you want to touch upon about the game today before we have a quick look at midweek?
No, I don't want to talk about it ever again. I'll forget all about it.
I've been saying that a lot lately, haven't we?
Oh, we have, which is a concern. Which is a concern. Dull ass game. It's gone. Disappointing. Let's move on.
Yeah.
It's tough to, after today and what's coming thereafter. Like right now, I couldn't really give a flying fuck about that West Ham game on Wednesday. Like the significance of next week kind of has intensified. The disappointment
you're right,
is still
though.
really raw after today. Like, I don't know.
You don't want to be in the situation we were 2 years ago when we were playing too many games, going after too many competitions like that. That the side on Wednesday should really reflect that it is the fourth most important competition this year. Sorry, but it is. And I'll be honest with you now, like, some people will listen to this and not agree with me, but I would absolutely take 3 points on Saturday against Arsenal and getting knocked out of the FA Cup by them. I take it now. Give it to me. I'll have it.
Yeah, it's a good point, man.
Yeah, me too. If it's a choice, obviously.
If it's
We
a
don't
choice,
quite have
obviously
the
it's not a
squad that we
binary
had.
choice.
If it's like you can only win one of those games, which one do you want to
Yeah.
win? It's the league game, definitely.
Yeah. And yeah, it's not a binary choice, and obviously life doesn't work like that. But that game's at theirs. It's our last game before we have a week off in the winter break. So I'd expect it to be fully, a full strength team. But I feel that'll be one of those heroic defeat things that we sometimes have, where we play all right, but they score first, and then maybe we'll equalise, and then they score quickly after, and that's how it finishes.
Well, there's
2-1.
no Mo for that one, so it's not full strength.
If you're going to lose him, I'd rather lose him for that game than we've got Newcastle in the league on the first, and then I think it's the 21st, the 22nd. We've got Brentford away. Now, whether they have Tony or not, we're still shit at Brentford away, so that's a bit of a concern.
He
And
might be
then,
playing for Arsenal in the cup game.
well, again, whether he's there or not, I mean, we can bet on whether he's going to be there or not. But we're still shit at Brentford away, and then we've got, is it Chelsea midweek? We're a midweek game against Chelsea. That's at Anfield. So, you can look at every game coming up and go, tough game, not tough game. And most of them seem tough, especially when you're playing badly. But again, the Carabao Cup has to be fourth choice right now. It's not the priority. I would say it's League, Europa League, and then the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup.
Yeah, I'm not even sure West Ham will come full strength on Wednesday night either. They'll probably have.
Well, they're having a
they
bad
have similar
patch, aren't
goals
they?
in
So
mind.
they might not
They
because.
had a good win today.
didn't they?
That Kudus
Oh.
is playing well.
Oh, was the final score? Was it 3-0?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Fair enough.
And they probably needed more than us, so they might go full strength because you just never know. You can never tell what people are going to do.
Moyes is
That's
under
the
a bit of
thing,
pressure,
isn't it?
so a win over us in the cup would do a lot to get people.
Oh, hang on, Moyes
back
has
on
never won
side.
at Anfield.
It's not an
Hang
Anfield,
on.
though, is it?
Is it
It
not?
is.
Is it?
It is.
Yeah.
Why did I think that was
Fucking made me think like I was wrong then. Fucking
Okay.
dickhead.
Okay.
Can't have that.
That's fucking hell.
I'm like, oh shit, I've made a right twat of myself there. I'm sure it's Hugh's wrong. You say it with such authority as well. No, we're away. Like, oh shit. No, we are. We're at home.
I don't know why I thought that was away.
Yeah, so it's home. So yeah, he's never won at Anfield. So there you go. A chance for him to do
fucking
that.
hell.
But the thing is, it is significant because obviously we're going to pick that team on Wednesday with the game on Saturday in mind, and if Curtis and Harvey start as they probably are going to, then that again probably
Yeah.
rules them out for the fucking weekend. But maybe not if Gravenberch is injured. We might have to play Trent in midfield on next Saturday anyway. If Gravenberch, McAllister are out.
McAllister hopefully will be back for Arsenal. I
You
don't
reckon?
know. Yeah, it might be touch and go, like, but I don't think he'd be ready for midweek. Even if he was, I don't think they'd play him in that game. But well, I'm saying like hopefully he's back, but I've got no problems if Endo has to play. And maybe you'd want McAllister in his proper position and let Endo play. I want to talk about Endo today. I think like it deserves a bit of a conversation because I thought he was really good. I thought like neat and tidy with his passing. He played some nice forward passes, but I felt like he won a load of tackles and he was just getting himself in the right areas and just getting his body in front. I thought he was really good. Now, you got to take into account the quality of opposition wasn't good and they weren't particularly trying to do too much attacking. But I think like that's his best game for us by some distance. I thought he was man of the match today.
Yeah, I think if we'd have won as well, we'd have been talking about him and how he kept them penned in.
Yeah.
Like just with how front foot he was.
Yeah, that's exactly
with his
it.
tackling and that kind of like he was fucking excellent. Everything he did had a sort of assurance to it as well, and was strong and everything you wanted from him. And he did that like remember that like joint sliding tackle that he got.
Yeah,
one of their
saucy
lads
that
booked
was,
for
wasn't it?
because he was the one who acted like it really fucking hurt. Like he pulled the old Johnny Evans move on Shelby.
Yeah.
God, that's how fucking old Johnny Evans is. That was about 15 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that
and
fucking
he's
Shelby
still
thing?
here, fucking rolling around on the floor, getting our players
Yeah.
into trouble with refs. The fucking twat.
So, yeah.
Play acting like the Siamese cats in Lady and the Tramp.
Oh, something else we need to talk about. Did you hear Ten Hag said afterwards? And this is not the first time he said that this week as well. he was asked about Virgil's comments, and he said something about, well, we beat them twice last season, and he'd said that in his pre-match press conference that they beat us twice last season.
One friendly.
Yeah, he's counting a friendly win. He's counting a pre-season friendly. He said we beat them twice and they beat us once.
Mourinho would be proud of that.
Oh my God, he's counting pre-season friendlies. Is like
dickhead.
Unbelievable. What a fucking loser.
Everything he can get at the moment.
It's like, that is why you fail, you fucking loser. That's your mentality. Like, you're counting pre-season friendlies to big yourself up. Like, absolutely embarrassing. Fucking loser.
Yeah, I guess we shouldn't really overlook the fact that, like, this is an absolutely incredible result for them in the state that they're in, and we're the ones sat here like it feels like a loss because we didn't beat them. And if you'd have asked me that 20 years ago, I'd have bit your hand off for it. So it is really, really disappointing, but it's a level.
Well, they play Moyes at West Ham on 12:30 on Saturday, so we'll see how well they are away at West Ham next week.
Yeah, they'll get beat there.
12:30 kickoff.
West Ham go above them if they win that as well, and they'd be in 8th.
Fucking hell, being beaten by Moyes and going above. Fucking hell.
Don't be talking about getting beat by Moyes when that's our next game.
I'm with Chris. I sound really ungrateful. It's not the priority.
No,
I wouldn't be that upset.
It's not the priority, but
I wouldn't be that upset. I've got to be honest, because there's a sense that there's a chance that there's a chance that a league tilt here, a title tilt. Like you've got to lean into that, like, haven't you?
Yeah,
you really have.
I'm not saying that I want us to go full strength on Wednesday. I would make the changes that we need to make, and I wouldn't be treating it like that. Like it's this massively important game, but I will be upset if we don't win. I'm not going to be mad. I'm not going to be kicking off about team selection.
To be fair, you got upset about losing to Union SG
I know,
the other day.
I did, but only upset while I'm watching the game. Like before the game, I didn't give a shit what happened, and then maybe not like in the immediate aftermath, but not long after the game finished, I didn't give a shit about it. But when you're actually watching the game, you do get like sucked in, and you're kicking every ball and that. So yeah, it was. And
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't
if
give
we
a
don't
shit.
beat West Ham.
Dead rubber.
All
didn't
right.
give a shit.
Boys, we're drifting here. So anything else you want to add about the game in midweek in the context of the Arsenal game the following week?
What team are we picking?
Kelleher, Kwanzaa, Gomez.
Are you playing
Bradley.
Gomez though, or are you thinking about Gomez against Martinelli on Saturday? Would you rather have him there than Trent?
Who else though?
Connor Bradley maybe.
Well,
But centre half.
No, right back.
Who are you playing centre half then?
Kwanzaa and suppose you do have to play. Maybe like Kanate and Gomez get a half.
No, we'll
each.
play. Yeah.
Might even play Virgil because you could. It's not like he's having to do loads of running. You probably could play Virg alongside
I would play
Kwanzaa.
Costas because Costas put in a fucking shift today. He ran his balls off, I thought. So
Yeah.
who are we playing left back?
See, the problem was
What's
like
his name? That
Chambers.
O'Connell?
Chambers has not been good when he's played. He is a good player. Like he's come through all the ranks with England. He's England under-20 player. He is a really good player. Did well on loan at Kilmarnock, but he's not looked good in the games he's played. So you'd have to think twice about that, especially like if West Ham go full strength, then he's up against Jared Bowen.
Yikes.
So I think, or if it's not Jared Bowen, he's been playing centre forward lately. Kudus has been playing on the right. So I wouldn't want him up against either of them. So I think Costas probably will play.
Jumping ahead to the Arsenal game, whether Gomez plays right back, is an interesting one, because I'd be inclined to play him, but I don't think we will play him. I think we'll stick with the hybrid thing.
That's how I feel. Yeah.
But I think I'd be looking at playing Gomez there and just, or you can play Trent, but tell him you're playing right back. You're not playing that hybrid thing today. I don't know.
Good luck with that.
Dreading that Arsenal game. See, I wasn't dreading today. No, I wasn't dreading today because they're shit. And the fact that we drew and didn't score doesn't change the fact that I still think they're shit.
Yeah, they are.
So, yeah. So I wasn't. It was one of the first United games in a long time that I had like zero apprehension about. Maybe that's why we didn't win.
No, it's because of the chippy.
It was because the chippy, yeah.
Yeah.
Chippy
Oh
was
yeah, we need
closed.
to talk about. We need to talk about that. How upset you got before the game because the chippy was closed.
Yeah.
It was quite a sight to behold, really. It was closed, and then another one was closed, and then you had to go on this epic odyssey right the way down the other end of Walton Breck Road to find
the
it. Did you
chippy.
end up finding one in the
Yeah,
end and
no,
making
so-
it into the
Yeah.
ground in time?
So our chippy, we get there and it was me and you, Jules, wasn't it? We
Yeah,
went
yeah.
like first. The rest of us is like still in the pub. We're like, right, let's go to chippy. So we get there and then the shutters are down and we were just like stunned. Like, shit, what do we do now? What's going on? Like the whole routine was just totally ruined. And it wasn't just me that was like a little bit like shook up about it. It was like, no, this is our match day routine and it's been totally fucked up because there's no legitimate reason why a chippy should be shut on match day at like 2:00. What time is it? Like, it was like 3:30, wasn't it? It was like 3:00, something like that.
3:00.
There's
It was 3
there's no
o'clock.
reason why that should have been shut. So it caught us off guard. So then we walked down County Road to go to another chippy, and that's shut as well. Like, is it like Chinese New Year or something? What's going on? Why are the chippies shut? This is weird. So then
Maybe
we walked
the health
down
inspector's been
Breckfield
round
Road.
this week or something.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. He's just gone on a rampage down County
Yeah.
Road. So then we're down Breckfield Road, like there's a chippy there, but the queue for that is like half a mile long. So it's like, nope, not getting in that. So then we have to walk all the way past the ground and up towards like the road where the supporters club is because there's a chippy on there. And then we eventually get like chips and gravy. The weird thing is though, Chris, you know what, our chippy on County Road is the Lucky Star.
Yeah.
The chippy we went to was called the Lucky Star. So we don't know if
Did
it's...
they move?
We don't know. No, it's not moved. That's always been
it's always
there.
been Lucky Star.
But we don't know if it's the same people who own it or if it's just a coincidence or what. So John was like, no, that's redressed the balance a bit. We've still gone the Lucky Star chippy. We're all right. It's not fucked up like the routine.
Unlucky Star.
It's just a little bit different, but we're all right. But then John like started eating his curry and chips and he was like, this is fucking disgusting. That's not the Lucky Star. He binned them. He was like, they're horrible.
he?
Yeah, so he was like, this is not a good omen. And like, John was worse than me at this point because I had my chips and gravy and it was sound. I enjoyed
Yeah,
it.
chips and gravy was nice. Yeah.
But John was like totally like out of his comfort zone and he was like, this is not good. This is a bad omen. And then obviously it turned out that it was.
And
but you
John
don't know
didn't get
this,
his can
Chris.
of Coke.
Oh, and yeah, John didn't get a
Dan
can of
got
Coke
a can of
'cause
Coke, even though he had no money.
the
John
price,
bought him a
they-
can
they
of Coke.
the pricing like in this other Lucky Star was like ridiculous. It was like London prices. John didn't have enough money to get himself a Coke. He got one Coke and had to give it to Dan. But like, there's an update to this. What you're not aware of, Chris? After the game, John's walking home and John rings me and he's like, "You're not gonna believe this. The fucking chippy's open now." I'm
my
like,
God.
why were they not open before the match when everyone was there and now they've opened afterwards? So
Aggro, perhaps?
we're blaming like the Lucky Star for that result today. It's
Okay,
on them
fair
for
enough.
just fucking up the routine.
I'm blaming them for the cold fucking cheese and onion pie I had to eat from one of those little pie shops just outside the Cop because there's a really nice one that I always go to, well, now and again, that they do this really nice vegan scouse one, and they didn't have any of them. They didn't have any of the other vegetarian ones, so I had to go over the street and have like a cold cheese and onion pie, and it was lame. So,
Ruin the
fuck
day.
you, Lucky Star.
Yeah, they
Sort
ruin the
your
day.
fucking- Sort your life out.
Not good.
All right. Anywhere else we want to go with this before we...
Hungry now.
There's bound to be something that we've forgotten about, you know, but
Mm-hmm.
nothing's jumping out at me. So, all right. So you two don't give a shit about the West Ham game. I do. Team selection. We didn't finish what we were thinking. I think you've got to play. You've got to play the forwards. You've got to try and get them into some sort of form. So not
I
necessarily.
get a feeling
Mo, I think-
Doak will play.
I don't know, because he wasn't even on the bench today. They went with two goalies again. That pisses me right off, by the way. Two goalkeepers on the bench instead of, like, you know, sticking like a kid on the bench. I don't understand it. It makes no sense. But yeah, Doak's not even on the bench today, so he was shit last week when he played.
He was shit then, yeah.
I don't know whether he will start against West Ham. I don't think he will. I think maybe Mo on the bench, Gakpo, Darwin and Diaz, or maybe Harvey in the front three or Curtis in the front three, which I don't want to see. But I don't know. I think Mo's got to get a rest at some point. I know he didn't play through the week, but the days of like just playing Mo all the time because he's Superman and he's like, you know, the fittest player in the squad. I think you're going to have to start like toning that down a little bit.
Yeah, because it only takes once for it to fucking.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, if the other forwards would like stop pulling their weight, they could.
No, that's true. But this is an ideal chance to say to Mo, all right, look, you're on the bench tonight. Hopefully we don't need to bring you on. The others are going to have to fucking get the shit together and start like contributing because we can't be relying on Mo all the time.
Do you know
It's
what
like
we
you
need
said,
for
his
Wednesday
powers
night?
are on the wane.
Do you know what we need for Wednesday night?
What?
Divock Origi.
Yeah.
This was such an Origi game.
And Minamino as well.
Yeah. Oh, God. Miss those guys.
Yeah.
I
The
don't
League
miss
Cup
Minamino.
superstars. He's turning up in France now. He's doing really well now.
Good for him. I still don't miss him.
So is Andy Carroll. Scored
Yeah, big
yesterday.
Andy, yeah. Doesn't say
Sit
much
down
for the
in
French
Nunez.
league, does he?
No. Yeah. All right, we are really drifting now.
Yeah, we're talking about Andy Carroll now, so yeah, I think.
Hey, I think he might have done a better job today than.
Oh,
United
no,
putting it up top for us,
don't
so
say
there
it.
we go.
Don't say it. Just stop
All right,
right there.
I'm calling time on this. We're rambling.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, that's another thing about that chippy thing today. I missed to say goodbye to you guys. I won't see
Yeah.
you for a couple of months now, so I feel a bit sad about that. But
See again, the lucky star. He just fucked everything up.
Bastards.
Should we boycott it from now on after that?
I think you should.
No, it's really nice. I'm still
No, but
going.
I'm thinking
I'm not-
about it.
I'm
Like,
not-
Well, so you
It's
you
mad.
stand outside quietly furious, Dave. Why I go in and get chips?
Yeah. You just make sure you tell them about it next time. You just make sure.
I
you
will. I
them a
reckon
strongly
like
written
Better have a
email.
good reason for it. Better be
Yeah.
a good
Was there
reason.
not aggro last time? Like in the down there with like some Manc fans? Maybe they just it's not worth it.
So, yeah,
Pause.
they can be aggro really because they get frog marched to the ground and then they have to stay.
Oh, no, it was
to-
There
Chelsea.
was, you know.
No,
Oh, it was Chelsea. No, yeah, it was Chelsea.
No, it
yeah,
was Chelsea. It was Chelsea. It was aggro last
Yeah,
time.
there was. Yeah. Remember trying to get out the car park and they're all like kicking off outside the Weddies.
Were they doing the bounce?
Bouncing
Yeah.
back. Oi, oi, oi.
Walking halfway across the road, bouncing, and then like retreating to the other side of the road with their arms outspread. Yeah,
You fucking mag. You
Male
fucking
rituals.
mag.
yeah.
Primate rituals. Nice. All right.
Like,
fair
we're
enough.
definitely
Well,
drifting now.
Yeah, we are. All right. Well, yeah, just a disappointing, really disappointing day at the office for the Reds, and everybody is at Anfield today and watching on TV. The chance to rectify it begins on Wednesday against West Ham in the League Cup before the real big one against Arsenal at Anfield next Saturday night. You sense we're going to need a much improved performance all over the park if we're going to return to the top of the table. But the very fact that we are in with a chance of winning this game and going to the top of the table is really fucking exciting. Good chance to, finish this half of the season on a high and go into the second half full of hope. So disappointing today, but we go again, and we'll catch you after the West Ham game. Until then, we'll catch you soon.
Well, the best word I can say, but will describe this was boom. Ooh, what was this? It was really good.